Okay, in this video, I'm going to explain how to save a project in Adobe Illustrator. First, how to save it as an Adobe Illustrator file that you can come back to and continue working on day after day. And then I'm going to explain how you will export a file as a JPEG so that when you are finished with the project, you can turn in both your Adobe Illustrator file as well as your JPEG file to Google Classroom. To start, we'll simply come up to the word File at the top left corner, and we will choose Save or Save As. When the Save or Save As dialog box comes up, the first thing we want to do is choose the folder on our computer that we want to save the file into. I always recommend the Documents folder. That's because the Documents folder is accessible on every computer in my classroom. And if you ever need to move to a different seat, you will have all of your projects saved in your Documents folder. Next, we're going to choose a file name. Please never allow it to say Untitled, Untitled 1, Untitled 2. Make sure that you're naming your files whatever the project is that you're working on. In this case, I created some flags, so I'm going to call it El Cerrito Middle School Flags. Then I'm going to choose a Save As type. By default, it should be already set to Adobe Illustrator.ai. You can always click this box and choose the drop-down if it says anything other than that, so that you can select Adobe Illustrator.ai. Next, I'm going to hit the word or the button Save. When your Illustrator Options dialog box comes up, all you need to do is click the word OK. And now your Adobe Illustrator file is saved. And if we come down to the little yellow folder at the bottom of our computer, and we come to our Documents folder, we should see our file right there. And an Illustrator file will always be orange. When you're completely done with a project, you also want to export your file as a JPEG. This is a file that can easily be shared on any device without having to have Illustrator installed on that device. So we'll come back up to File, and we'll scroll almost halfway down to where it says Export. And then we will choose Export As. From here, our Export dialog box pops up. Again, we're going to choose our Documents folder from the left-hand side. Our file name should still be the same, and so we shouldn't need to change it. But now we have the Save As type dropdown. So when we click this little drop-down box, you'll notice there are a lot of different options for us to choose from. We want to go ahead and find the JPEG option and choose that. Next, we will always click the Use Artboards box. That way, if you have one or more artboards that you've created in Illustrator, it will save each of them individually. I also like to choose the suffix box and have it clicked on. That way, if I've named my artboards, it will reflect in the file name automatically. Now I'm going to click the word Export. When my JPEG options dialog box comes up, I'm going to choose my color model and I'm going to switch it to RGB so that it looks good on computers, phones, and tablets. I'll make sure my resolution is set to high 300 ppi, and then I will click OK. Depending on the size of your files, this exporting process will either be very fast or it might take a little bit longer. But when it is done processing and you come into the little yellow folder at the bottom of your computer, go into your Documents folder, you will find that you have your JPEG files right here. And if you want to make sure they're correct, you can always switch your view up here at the top. Show medium icons or large icons, and you can preview to make sure that your JPEGs were saved correctly. Remember, your Illustrator files will always show up as an orange AI. Your JPEG files will show up as an image file, or if you're in your list view, they will show up as little pieces of paper icons.